from Peru. Hello from Brazil, Romania, Mexico. Wow. Hello from Poland, Lithuania, Georgia, Ecuador, Germany. Wow. Good morning, good afternoon, good evening, Saudi, Portugal, Thailand. Wow. So many people from all over the world. Hello, hello. Welcome. So nice to have you here. Great. I can see that the chat is working. Let's test the emojis. I can see some of you are already using it and it's working. Hello, hello. So nice to have you here. So I'm Elaine. I'm from Macmillan Education, Brazil. So it's an honor to have you here with us. Let me share my screen. Great. Can you see my screen? Hello, hello. Yes, great. So welcome to the Global Teachers Festival 2025. This is day 5 of the event. Our event started on February the 10th and it goes up to February the 21st. And today is the day 5, as I said. So this week we had the first day session, which was an opening event with David and Ben Crystal, Sarah and Susan Hilliard. Second day we had a conversation. The topic was about conversation. The third day we talked about well-being, and yesterday we talked about critical thinking. And today, well, our topic is journey. And what does that mean? I'll tell you in a minute, okay? Let me see. How many days of the event have you participated? Is it your first day in this event? Is it your second day? 4 days, Agatha. 5. Wow. Some people took part in all the days. Wow. Second day. First day. Wow. Welcome. Second day for me. Fifth. Third, wow, that's amazing. So before we start, I would like to let you know that you will receive your certificate and a virtual goodie bag with a surprise that I'm going to tell you what the surprise is by the end of this session, but you will receive both of them within a week. Please be patient with us because we have a long list of emails to send, to share. But if you have any problems, you can email us on the email that you can see on my screen. Okay? Great. So today is day 5, Friday, February the 14th. For some people around the world is Valentine's Day. So happy Valentine's Day. And today we are going to be talking about building strong foundations, not only for young learners, but also for teens. And we are going to start our first talk with Anna. Anna, are you there?
Of course.
Hi, Anna.
Hey.
Welcome. We are so happy to have you here. Guys, Anna is a course book author. She's also a teacher training. She's specialized in young learners education. Wow, that's really nice. Anna, can you tell us what do you like the most about being a course book author?
What I like most is that you can do something that is out of the script, something that no other book has, or something that you came up with, or you have been thinking about for years that something like that should be in a course book, but because you have never been a course author, you have never had a chance to do so. And then this opportunity arises and say, yes, this is the moment. This is the time that I'm going to introduce something that will help me and many other teachers to make the lesson more attractive or more understandable for the students. That I think is something I like the best about that.
Oh, that must be awesome. So, Anna, the stage is yours. I'm gonna leave
Okay.
you here. There's people from all over the world. They are
Yes, I
so
can see
excited.
that. So I was saying that we thought that for every session there will be a different part of the world, and it's not, because you're all mixed, which is great because we got such
Yeah,
diverse audience, and yeah, and I'm so happy that you are all
great.
here for me. Okay.
I'm gonna leave you with them, okay?
All
Thank you,
right.
Anna.
Okay. All right. Well, you have to stop sharing because otherwise I cannot share. Please.
Oops, I'm sorry.
Okay. Thank you.
What's happening? It's not stopping. Hello.
Okay.
Okay.
Works. Okay. All right, I'll take a deep breath because this is quite an intensive thing to do. So get ready, because today we are talking about the building blocks of grammar and vocabulary to helping our students get ready for their future education. So if you specialize in teaching young learners, as I do, then we are responsible for equipping them with the very basis, but we need to make sure that the very bases are really, really well acquired so that the further education is going to go smoothly and they have a chance to achieve mastery that Gosia is going to talk about later on in this block. And so we are focusing on young learners trying to build their competence in English out of blocks of grammar and vocabulary, step by step. Okay, so first things first. I need to warn you that I planned it as a slightly interactive session, so it would be really great if you could cooperate a little bit and be active. So when I ask you a question, you can just type it into the chat, and we will have sort of interaction in this not perfect channel of an online meeting. And so first, I am going to teach you a language, okay? Now, this is an artificial language. I made it specifically for this occasion so that nobody knows the words of the language, okay? So I'm going to teach you a few phrases and a few words of this language. And you need to focus a little bit because then there is a test, okay? There'll be a quiz, okay? You ready? Off we go. So a cat in this language is vuru, okay? Now, a black cat is la nokuvuru. Okay, then a big black cat would be a tiku nokuvuru. And I will buy a house by the sea would be milira boru la kala nalavata. A black cat can climb would be la nokuvuru lira somi. A black cat eats meat and nokuvuru tikakova. My mom is a vet would be mikaniva se kalabota. And a black cat likes to sleep would be la nokuvuru siruduna. Okay, so this is the language, just like a sample, a tiny little sample of the language. And here comes the quiz. Okay, so if you could just type in the answers in the chat, the first question is, how do you say in my artificial language, cat? Let's see. Oh, okay, lots of people know how to say cat. Perfect. Okay, lovely. You've learned a word. That's it. You're right. Okay, let's try a different one. How do you say in my artificial language, black? No, yeah, that's perfect. Okay, that's a lot of people getting it right. I can't even name you. Very nice. This is the word. Okay. And the last one, how do you say in my artificial language, house? All these words were in the previous slide. We were learning those. Uh-huh. No, not so sure, not so many. Okay, that was the word for the house. Okay, so how is it that you've learned cat so easily and even black cat, but you couldn't learn so well the word house? Of course, there will be people who will learn all of those because this is how memory works, but still, it was much better for the house. Yes, Luisa. the fact that you remembered cat best and black cat not so badly is because it was repeated so many times, okay? If you don't repeat and revise vocabulary, it will get lost. Because if you see something only once, then, if you're not using it, I'm sure that you've got such facts and such abilities, such skills in your minds that you haven't been using for years. And if you had to use it now, it wouldn't be so easy, like some concepts of maths or history or some knowledge of chemistry. You learned that, but because you were not using it too much, it got forgotten, okay? Now, especially with language, it is very important that we revise and repeat, because otherwise the language goes under the process of attrition. So we are losing the language if you're not using it, okay? So if we are to build the strong foundations for the students to learn the language better, we need to come up with something that will ensure that the students will revise the material over and over again so that they never forget, okay? And the modern methodology of teaching languages or any other subjects as well, have come up with the concept of spiral curriculum. It is often, we believe that Brunner is the author of the spiral curriculum, which rests on like 3 pillars, okay? So it talks about a curriculum that develops around the different topical areas and uses different concepts of grammar throughout the whole education, starting very early on until the very last stages of education, using the same topics and the same concept reoccurring every now and then, but in a different form, okay? So the 3 major pillars of spiral curriculum would be prior knowledge, repetition, and rising complexity, okay? And we are going to look at each of them one by one, okay? So how do we use those concepts in our classroom so that we are in tune with the spiral curriculum idea? Prior knowledge, okay? All the students come into the classroom with some knowledge, okay? Typically, the knowledge of those students is diverse. They've been watching different cartoons. They played different games. English is present everywhere. So it is unrealistic to expect that your students come to the classroom, you've got a new topic, and they know absolutely nothing about it. They will probably know something, okay? So we should be building on this prior knowledge to also motivate them so that they can see that this knowledge is useful because something else is built upon it, okay? And that it's not forgotten and it actually makes sense to remember it because it will be used later on. But because they come with this prior knowledge, we should not be starting with the idea of, you know nothing, I know everything, now I will tell you, okay? Alternatively, we should come with the attitude of test, teach, test approach, okay? So first, we have to see what they know. Then, once we've collected all this knowledge, we teach, okay? Something that they don't know, okay? To finally, again, test the whole thing, what they knew and the thing that we taught, okay? So the approach of test, teach, test. I'll show you an example. So let's imagine that the topic is animals, okay? So this is the topic I made with my students as an example, especially for this presentation. So we were talking about animals and I told my students, okay, let's talk about animals, but let's categorize this knowledge a little bit. So let's think of 4 categories in which we are going to talk about animals. And my students came up with these categories. So we've got animals that live at home, tiny creatures, like, spiders, creepy crawlies, animals in the wild, and fantasy animals as well. Okay, so let's focus on the animals in the wild. Here again, we can think of where those animals can be found. Okay, so they can be found in the forest, in the jungle, or a zoo. We were not sure. Or we can also find some water animals. Okay, so let's focus on water animals first. Okay, now I am picking the brains of the students first in the phase of test. Okay, so this is the first test phase. Okay, I'm asking my students. Okay, so we will be talking about water animals. What water animals do you know? Okay, can you imagine what kind of water animals they could guess? They were 7, 8-ish at the time? Whales, that could be, yes, that's a good, an octopus, definitely. Dolphins, yeah, sharks, fish, excellent, okay? Yeah, that's more or less what they came up with, okay? So we came up with a dolphin and an octopus and a fish, okay, within the time limit I gave them, okay? So now we are moving to the stage of teach, okay? I've tested, we know some. Now we teach. I teach some new vocabulary. So we've got a whale, a crab, and a shark. Okay, I add it to their set of vocabulary that they already had, that they came to the classroom with. Okay, and so now we've got a set of 6 words that I want them to remember. So we are going again to the stage of test. Okay, and now I'm gonna the easiest and the one that I really like idea for testing is the disappearing vocabulary. Okay, so if you've got an interactive whiteboard, you can just blank it out. And if you've got a traditional board, you just wipe it out from the board. Okay, so some of the words are disappearing, but the students still are supposed to tell me what was there before I wiped it off. Okay, now the idea is based on the theory of anchoring. Okay, anchoring is an idea that when the students are looking at a given part of the board, their brain will recall what the word was before I wiped it off. Okay, and so this way I'm telling the students to close your eyes or to close their eyes or to turn around, and some of the words are disappearing, and then they have to tell me, but not what is missing. Remember not to play what is missing, because if you play what is missing, there will be one child in the classroom that will always shout out the answer first. So the slower children are not going to compete. They will give up. Okay, so instead of playing what is missing, we are always starting to read the words, the pictures from the start. Okay, so it doesn't matter what is missing at the moment. We still are starting to say as a whole class, oral repetition, we are doing shark. What was there was a crab, whale, dolphin, octopus, fish. Okay, and then again they close their eyes or turn around, and some other animals are missing. And again, we are not saying what's missing, but we start from the very beginning. And again, in these places, I just point at the places and they say what was there. Okay, one by one. Okay, until the end, until all the words are missing, and then they are like, wow, now we can see something that is not there. Okay, so this is the test that we do. I made my mind map with Mindomo. It's a very simple tool, very, very intuitive, and it's free, it's online, and it takes like split second to make a mind map like that. If you like working with mind maps with an application or a tool, I highly recommend this one. You can change the styles, you can add pictures, videos, whatever you want. It's all free. In the basic format, basic is absolutely enough. Okay, so that was building on prior knowledge, and now we're looking at repetition. Okay, so repeating the same topic. Okay, creating lessons around the same topic is very important for them to come back and revisit the topic and recall all the words that are stored in their memory, to become active for a moment, not to, fall asleep and die there somewhere in the brain, because all the vocabulary is needed, is important, and we need it to communicate all the time. So it has to stay active. Okay, it just can't get dormant somewhere in the brain. And so in the Spiral curriculum that we have now, actually everywhere, I think it's not only about English, but other subjects, most of them also use that because it's a concept of modern methodology. The topics repeat. Okay, apart from animals, what topic can you think of that you can find in a course book for little ones, a little bit older students, and even adults? What would that be? Food. Yeah, definitely. Family. Yeah, family is a good idea too. Parts of the body. Yes. Parts of the body, definitely. Work. Body, family. Yeah. School supplies. Right, as well. Okay, lovely. Perfect. Yeah. So with research on big data shows that those that are, regardless of where you teach English, in which part of the world, the typically reoccurring topics would include animals, school, home, food, sport, and family. These are like the top 6 ones that that are always there. Okay, that they will come back to you. Okay, but they do not just come back in the same form, because that will be pointless. They are coming back in different complexities so that you can add something to what you already know, to how you already understand the language. Okay, so at the beginning, when you were very little, you got a lesson about animals where you've got only a small set of animals, and the teacher tells you how to say that this animal is big, small, this one has 2 legs, this one has 4 legs, and you can say something about the tail, whether it's short or long, okay? And then next year, you open the course book and there's animals again, but this time there are different animals. Again, the set is a little bigger, there are other animals, and this time you are able to say that there are some and there aren't any, okay? And now it works like a cumulative review, okay? So this year you've learned today these new words, and you can say there are some bears, there are some foxes, there aren't any tigers, okay? But because you already know some words, we are using the knowledge that you already have. So you can also say there are some elephants, okay? And it also works progressively. So because you can say something about the legs and the tail of an elephant and a tiger, now you're transferring this knowledge to the new year, and you're saying, okay, and the bear has got a short tail, okay? And the fox has got a long tail, okay? And then a year passes and we open the course book and there are animals again, okay? And these animals are very different because these ones live in the water. And now we are enabled by the teacher to say that something is bigger, slower, smaller, faster, okay? So again, you can say that the seahorse is smaller than the dolphin, but at the same time, you can say that the wolf is smaller or lighter than the bear. Okay, you can also say something about the elephant or something about the monkey because the knowledge accumulates. Okay, and you've got a lot now to talk about more and more with every year. So the student has the feeling that, okay, so I can use the same language, talk about something that I learned a year ago, 2 years ago. So it fits. It sort of goes to the same drawer in the brain. Okay. And then a year passes by, and now you've got parts of the body of the animals. So you've got parts of the body of the animals. You can talk about the water animals, you can talk about the jungle animals and the forest animals and whatever animals you have already learned, because you have accumulated a lot of vocabulary, and now you can talk about all of that, okay? This is how the spiral curriculum works, okay? So it adds, but it adds with some edge, right? Something more, a little bit more complex, so that you can go up and down the spiral within the topic because you already have this knowledge and you should be practicing that so as not to forget. Because forgetting is a natural phenomenon and it happens, okay? So especially when you teach very young learners, I'm sure that you've got this experience that you teach them because they learn very fast. You teach them something on a Friday and they learn it super fast, okay? And you are so excited that your students learned so much today. And then you come back on Monday and they look at you like, who are you? And what do you want? Okay, what topic? What do you want? What words? Okay, as if they have never had that before, because they forget very quickly. So you need to definitely revise and revisit more often when you are working with young learners and less often when you are working with teenagers. But the repetition and revision is essential, because without it, this is how the brain works. We need to have this ability to forget. And because we do have this ability, then sometimes some of the words that we've learned just get into the forgotten zone, okay? Now, it actually has a scientific pace of forgetting, gets a scientific idea of the pace, how it happens, okay? So this is Ebbinghaus's forgetting curve, and it tells us that if today I teach you 10 words, and today you have learned 10 words, we are in 100%, okay? You've learned 10 words, and today you remember them. But tomorrow you are maybe going to remember 4, okay? Like in a week, you maybe will remember 2. And if I ask you in a month, you will maybe remember what the cat was in my artificial language, okay? Because this is how forgetting happens. But the power of revision is considerable, okay? Because if I teach you these 10 words today and you start forgetting and you revise them tomorrow, it will only take you 10 minutes to come back to this nearly 100. You will never get to nearly 100, but nearly to 100% you will come back, okay? Then once you've done it tomorrow, you can revisit the same words on day 7, so in a week time, and it will only take you 5 minutes to recall everything, okay? And in a month, it will only take you 2 to 4 minutes because it has gone to your long-term memory and now it's remembered, okay? So this is why we should revise and recall the vocabulary with the students. If you've got tech kids, students that like technology, there are spaced repetition software applications that help students revise and repeat, okay? And I've chosen those because they are all free to use and students can have fun doing the games because they're gamified. Some of them are competitive, like Duolingo, so you can compete with your friend and say, okay, so I have practiced this kind of this vocabulary or this grammar this week, that much, okay? Show me your results, okay? You're competing here. Or memorize, for example, which not only gives you the opportunity to practice the language itself, but also culture, literature, something that if the students are more interested in English as such, not only in the language, they will enjoy that as well. I've got some ideas of revision games that are very simple and they are cost-free and you can use them in the classroom at any time. Revision games for vocabulary that I like best and work best with my classrooms are chains, for example, especially with the youngest learners, right? So this is the activity when you take a fluffy toy or a ball and you start a sentence saying, I went to the seaside and I saw a starfish, okay? And you throw it to the next person. The next person says, I went to the seaside and I saw a starfish and a dolphin. A starfish, dolphin, and a shark, and so on. The funny thing is that when they start forgetting after like fourth word, probably, they are looking at the people who said the words, which shows evidence for anchoring, yes, because you associate the word with a person, okay, which is really funny to see. The beginning of the sentence, of course, can be whatever you want. If you've got a student at very low levels, you can start very easily, like I like, whatever phrase works for your topic. 5-second rule is like a general game. You can buy it anywhere, but it doesn't suit all the topics for young learners. So what I do is I come to my students with empty cards and I tell them, make the cards yourselves, okay? So if it was the lesson about sea animals, I would give them the cards and I will tell them, okay, so write, name 3 water animals, or name 3 animals that walk on 4 legs. Name 3 green animals, okay, or whatever, so that we have a set of such cards for every topic, and then we can play at the end of the year using all the vocabulary. For example, then get a big revision. Order dictation, when you've got a course book that has those mini flashcards, every student has got his own set of mini flashcards, and then you can play lots and lots of different games. My favorite are order dictation, especially for the youngest learners. So one learner puts the pictures in whatever order he wants. Then they put like a book between each other so they can't see each other's pictures, and the other person tries to put his pictures or her pictures in exact same order, okay? So this one person says, okay, so I've got an eel and a crab and an octopus, and then they compare. They take off the book and they compare whether the order is the same. A similar one is vocabulary battleships. So they both place, for example, 6 such pictures, and then one person is asking, okay, have you got an octopus in place 3? Okay, if I'm right, then I get the octopus. If I'm not right, then I have to try again. Okay, maybe I'll remember the 3 is not octopus. Maybe I'll guess next time in next round. I'll guess if 3 is a whale. Maybe I'll be more lucky. Perfect partner. So each child takes just one card and they are mingling, walking around in the class, and they're trying to find another octopus, for example. So if I've got an octopus, the grammar structure that you want to use depends on you and on the level of the class. So they can walk around and say, are you an octopus? And if someone is an octopus and I'm an octopus, we're a perfect pair. Okay. Pair collectors, so children are playing in groups of 3 or 4, and they collect not all of the cards, but just some, okay, like maybe 7 or 8, and they hold it like like cards, okay? And they are asking each other for a pair, okay? So can I have a starfish? And if I asked Mary, and Mary has got the starfish, she has to give it to me, and I've got a pair. But if Mary doesn't have a starfish, she says, no, sorry, and I miss a turn, okay? So somebody, now she's asking, okay? They can play memory, but remember, if they play memory, then when they are uncovering the pictures, they need to say what they see, because otherwise there is no language element. Or you can play bingo. I've got a good idea, technical idea, especially if you work with big groups, is that you make the bingo charts on big pieces of paper. You just make, like a table, okay, for 6 or for 9 or 12 pictures, okay? And every time you want to play bingo, you give it away to the students, and the student just puts the cards on it, okay? So it's reusable. So at the end of the activity, you collect it and you keep it, because if you give it to the students, half of them will lose it, okay? And then it will be difficult to play. So my advice, just make it and collect it and just give it out every time you want to play bingo. Bottle swing I like a lot, and you play it with big flashcards. So you put the flashcards on the floor and the students around the flashcards, and one student swings the ball, and wherever the cork lands, they have to either just name the animal, in this case, or they have to say a sentence with the animal, or with the most advanced classes, I also have a rule that if Mary happens to get a crocodile, she can say the crocodile is green, but the next person in some other round gets the crocodile as well. They cannot say the crocodile is green. They have to come up with a different sentence, okay? So yeah, that's a game my students like best, okay? And the last one is the rising complexity that we have already seen here. So students are revisiting, we are revisiting with the students the same topics, but they are not the same because the complexity of the language gets higher, okay? But it doesn't get terribly higher. It's not a leap. It's just the tiny little steps, especially at the beginning when we are just building the foundations. It can't be a lot. It has to be just n+1, just a little bit, okay? It goes along with the theory of Vygotsky, of the zone of proximal development. I'll show you an example of a child learning to skate, okay? So at the beginning, the child can't really skate, but he is happy that he can sort of keep balance standing on ice, okay? This is his current ability. This is how much he can, okay? But if he gets a little bit of help, he will also move a little bit, okay? But he won't jump or make pirouettes, but he will move a few steps forwards, okay? But only if somebody helps him. This somebody in our case is us, okay? The teacher helps the student make those little steps because the student is ready, okay? The student is ready now to make those steps. We know because he can keep the balance. Okay, so on his own, he wouldn't be able to make those steps, but if we help him just a little bit, he can. Of course, there are many other things that he cannot, and this is not the time, all right? So the child is not ready yet, not ready now to do the pirouettes or the jumps or whatever. Maybe if he is persistent and he still likes skating, after years and years of practice, he will get there because the zone of proximal development will move, but not drastically, just a little bit, okay, with every accomplishment. So in terms of English, it would be the situation in which our students can name the sport, okay? So you show them flashcards and one of the flashcards is skating and the students say skating, okay? Or you show football and the students say football, okay? So because they know that, now they are ready and for you to introduce I'm skating, okay? Now they are not going to do that on their own because they don't know the structure, and also they are going to make mistakes. Yeah. Now with this structure, the typical mistake is ice skating, right? So they are going to miss the copula. So you're going to correct them all the time, and with your help, they will be able to learn I'm skating because they are ready for that. Okay, they are not going to learn I've been skating for years because that's not the moment. Okay, they are not ready for that yet. Okay, so what we as teachers are doing in this process is building a scaffolding. Okay, so we are helping the students to reach at the next level within the zone of proximal development, but the step is tiny. tiny little step, okay? Not a huge leap, because that's impossible, that you cannot do, okay? So how it works for grammar is that you've got, for example, we are introducing past simple quite early on, okay? So we are starting in the first years of education, but we are not starting with everything like right now, yeah? I'm going to present all the past simple to you because I know, okay? Now we are starting with small steps. So the first thing they see is just the past simple of the verb to be, okay? Can you see that? So let's just wasn't and weren't, and that's it. That's enough, okay? Because this is what they are ready for and they can grasp it. And once they've internalized this knowledge, we move on and we say, okay, so now we are going to make a little step forward, okay? And I'm going to make this past simple a little bit more complicated. So we are not only going to focus on be in the past, but we are going to look at different verbs, okay? But if you can see in this picture, in this activity, they are not just all verbs, yeah? Can you see those? What kind of verbs are they in this past simple? Regular, of course, right? They are all regular because it's easier, because there's a bigger rule. If there is a rule, okay, they are all regular. So first we start with to be in the past, then we introduce the regular verbs because it's easier. They're not going to make mistakes, okay? We are just giving them enough to develop this, to make this one more step, okay? And later on, next year, or in a few different other lessons, we are introducing them to the concept of negative, okay? And this time we are introducing also irregular verbs. So we've got go, see, have, right? And finally, in the end, we can put that all together and also add a question, okay, with the operator, which is quite difficult for children. And we can start making questions and answering those questions using both regular, irregular verbs and also to be, because we have to revise everything, okay, not to forget. It's not like we've learned, it's not, I'm telling my students, it's not like biology, right? You've learned something and now you can forget it because we are never going to revisit it again. This is language. You are going to need absolutely everything. You can't forget anything, okay? So yeah, so we have to come back to this to be in the past as well. Okay, my ideas for grammar revision, again, very simple ones and, cost-free. Chain stories, which I'm sure that you're using. So just, I start a story in the past and throw a fluffy toy. Somebody catches it and continues the story, which is like a typical kind of activity. Students like it. Dear Diary, I like a lot. This is when I tell my students, okay, think of a famous figure from the past. You are this famous figure from the past. Write 2-3 sentences about your regular day in such a way that we might try to guess who you are. Okay. Or travelers letters. You say, okay, you're all time travelers. I would like you to travel back in time somewhere. And when you come back, we are going to write letters in which you are going to describe what you saw, and we will try to guess what times they were, okay? Or what place it was. Who was I? It's like a 20-question game when the students are thinking of a figure from the past, and you are asking questions and they are guessing, okay? Secrets from your past, it works like two truths and a lie, but instead of present, you are making it past, okay? So you say, okay, when I was a child, I had a pet turtle. When I was 5, I something, yeah, and 2 are true and 1 is false, okay? And you need to guess. Interview with the time traveler, so you send those time travelers back in time, and then they come back, and then then another student interviews the time traveler. So what did you say? Okay, where did you go? Who did you meet? Okay, we are practicing the question formation, and the students are practicing sentences in the past. Retelling a story challenge. So my favorite version of this one is that you take 4 students outside the classroom or somewhere in the corner, and you read to them a very short story, but it needs to be quite detailed, okay? And then they go and form 4 groups, and each student retells the story that they heard, okay? Then the whole group try to recreate what they remember from what the student said. They write it down, and then we compare it with the original, and it's never the same, okay? It really is funny. Breaking news. So you come into the classroom, or students write short news, depending how advanced they are. If you've got more advanced students, they can write the story, the news on their own. I've got the original one my students made it especially for me for this session. Yesterday, a cat was climbing a tree when it got stuck. The fireman arrived and tried to help the cat. The cat got scared and attacked the fireman. And this is the end of the breaking news. And now the class asks questions. Okay, what else would we like to know about this story? Okay, and we are trying to make up for the missing information. Okay, so what was the fireman wearing? Why was the cat scared? Okay, we're trying to answer those to make this breaking news more interesting. Okay, so just to put it all up together, we were talking about building strong foundations so that the students' knowledge can get more advanced with years to come, because they also need a lot more years of education to build the house of proper English competence. Okay, but because we are working with children, we need to make sure that the basics, the foundations are really well laid. Because if we don't, then there will be problems. Like I can see with my students at the university, I teach at the English department, and the students are really highly advanced C2 students with no problems with inversion of very complicated grammar structures. And then we go to the schools for teacher training, and I can see that they have problems with the simplest grammar because these foundations were not laid well. Okay, they were just rushing to get to the C2 level. So that's how it works. So we were talking about this spiral curriculum, and I would love you to remember that this spiral curriculum is based on students' prior knowledge. So we have to use whatever the students can. Don't ever assume that they know nothing. Ask them, maybe they will know something, and sometimes you can be even surprised how much they know. And the revision and repetition, because this is the key for them to have those foundations laid well. And that we are teaching every time we are revisiting the topic, the complexity of the topic itself, of the context in which it's presented, is a little bit more complicated, a little bit more complex, but we are doing it very slowly. So the steps are small. It's more complicated, but it's not incredibly more complicated, just a little bit more complicated, because otherwise they will not jump to it. Okay. And with that, I'm leaving you with those foundations, I hope, built for the next session, where Gosia is going to tell you how the students, teenage students, are using the knowledge to build a house on those foundations they get from us when we do our job well. Thank you so much.
Wow, Anna, that was amazing. I believe you didn't have the opportunity to follow all the comments on the chat, but everyone is thanking you for amazing ideas. They were very practical and they were really nice. I felt so inspired for my classes as well. So it's very, very nice. Thank you so much for your time
Thank you
and
all
for
for the
the presentation.
cooperation. For the cooperation, for taking part in the interactive activities. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Anna. Okay, everyone. So it was very nice to have Anna. And let me go back to sharing my screen with you. So now, after Anna, we're going to have a 5-minute break. But before you go, some of you were asking about recording and certificate. Don't worry, you are going to receive it within a week in your emails, okay? So don't worry, you are going to receive the slides, the goodie bag, and everything. So it's time for you to grab some coffee, some water, to chill a little bit. Come back soon. But while we are here, I would like to show you a quick video before you go. Okay, let me show you the video. in a minute.
Evelina, do you want to put me on?
Oh,
Evelina, can you put me on, please? Thanks. Hello, everybody. Elaine is probably very stressed, bless her. Her computer Zoom has just decided to go, I'm not going to work for you anymore. I've decided to crash because of absolutely no reason. So I'm sorry. I'm just going to take over this little bit, everyone. I'm sorry you're stuck with me. And it's great, but I like coming back to say hi. Hi, everybody. Good to see you all. Let's have a little thing in the chat. Let's have a load of emojis popping up. Go on. Let's have a load of emojis. Great. Love it. Lovely to see you all. Let's have a score out of 10 for the festival so far. I haven't spoken to you all week. I feel like I've been here all week in the background. I haven't seen any of you. Great. Thanks a lot. You can't really say anything but 9 or 10 out of 10 when I ask a question like that, but thank you anyway. Thank you, everyone. So I'm here very briefly just to introduce our next speaker. Wait a second. Let me share my screen. Clickety click. Bring that up. Get the slide up. There we go. Hi, everyone. Gosia Kobierzycka. Oh no, I've been practicing. I thought I would get that. I'm so sorry. Let me try that again. Don't speak. Don't tell me. Gosia Kobierzycka.
Almost.
Can you say it, please, Gosia?
Kobierzycka. That's a
Kobierzycka.
tough. Yeah, that's a tough
I missed
one.
that whole syllable, actually. Yeah, okay.
It's okay. Nobody noticed.
Cool. Apart from you. Thank you. All right, cool. Thanks for joining us, Gosia. Thanks for coming to the festival.
Thank you for inviting me.
You're welcome. So you've got a gigantic history in teaching English. I'm not going to go and read your bio to everybody.
Yes,
What
thank
is
you.
what job, excluding your current job, has been
Okay.
something that you felt has really propelled you forward in your career? Not because of its standing, but because of what you learned.
Oh my
What job have you
goodness.
learned?
My job
Can't say the
prior
current
to
one.
teaching. Okay.
Not necessarily prior to teaching, just your job at a position.
Well, that working as a director of studies, definitely. Yes, because you need to work with teachers, with students. So
Mhm.
I think it teaches you a lot. Observing classes teaches you a lot. I think I'm very fortunate to be able to do it, because sometimes I can see some exercises and then like I said, oh, I did that as well, and it doesn't work.
Okay. Yeah. I think we've all been there.
Yes,
Yeah.
so I encourage everyone to go and observe classes, because I think as a teacher you benefit from it a lot.
Definitely. I think the more you do it, the less, because it's a bit stressful, I think, being observed generally. But if it's a regular thing, it's really, I agree, very beneficial.
Yeah,
Cool.
yeah.
All right, gosh, I'm going to leave the stage to you. Have a lovely one. And we'll see you in about 30 minutes.
Okay, thank you very much. Okay. Hello, everybody. Okay, so happy Valentine's Day, everybody. Thank you for joining me here. I'm so happy to be here with you. And as Anya said before, I'm going to be talking about teenagers and teaching teenagers. And I would like to start with the very first task for you. Okay. So, and Anya talked about the curve of forgetting. So let's see if you remember. All new learning requires a, what is the missing word? Okay, yes, I can see. Yes, some answers in the chat box. Not yet. Not yet. You're there. Think of, okay. Review bits, motivation, background. Oh, yes, foundation. Well done. Yes, that's the word. Foundation of prior knowledge. Yes. So, Anya briefly talked to explain what spiral curriculum is, and this is very important in teaching. Yes, because it takes us to revisiting topics. So, as Anya said, we start with some words, some single words, and then we add some complex, topics, and we increase their complexity. So by building on prior knowledge, we can hopefully encourage mastery over time. So I like to think that teaching teenagers or teaching English in general is like building a house. So what we need is to start with the basis, okay, strong basis, because we don't want our house to be shaky. Then we need to have walls, floors, and the roof, and installations. We need to decorate our house, and which is also very important. We need to remember not to lose ourselves in the process. So what are we building on? We are building on the prior knowledge, and we need to get it out. How can we get it out? We can use something called retrieval practice. Okay, so and my 3 principles that I usually focus on are to involve everyone. So if you teach teenagers, you know that when they do exercises, when one person does the exercise, the rest are going to look at their phones, scroll something, go to, I don't know, Instagram. So we need to involve everyone. We need to make it generative, which means that we need to focus, or they need to focus on producing ideas. So, okay, so we are not going to use notebooks, anything. They need to open their boxes. And we need to make it workload and time efficient, which means that we need this revision to take maybe 10, 15 minutes because, well, we need to go further with the material. Yes, we're teachers, we have our curriculums. And time and workload efficient, meaning that, well, we don't want to spend hours and hours preparing exercises, yes, for our students. Okay, so get ready for another task. Another quote. I would like you to look at this quote and tell me what the missing suffix is. Yes, Victoria, well done. It is actually effortful. So very often we think that it has to be easy and fun. Okay, it can be easy and fun, but then students forget. Okay, so we need to make them work. Okay, so let's get to work and start building our house. So we're going to start with walls and a roof. So as you can see, very often when we ask our teenagers to do something, for example, guys, let's revise present simple, present continuous, or of course, you know, you do it after a proper lead-in, and they will tell you, oh my goodness, again. Yes, so if you teach teenagers, you know that face, right? So what do? We want to, as I said, involve everyone. And somebody asked for an example, so here it is. We have a walkabout bingo. So you have a handout that you give to your students, and they need to walk around the classroom. I know the teenagers are going to tell you, oh, I don't want to stand up. So then, no, make them. And then they need to talk to each classmate. Well, maybe not each classmate, but here you can see 6 people. Okay, so you go to the first person and you say, okay, so how do you form positive, negative statements? And she said, I don't know. Okay, so maybe you know what when we use it. And then the person writes down the answer, the name, and then has to move to another person. Okay, so it's also a very nice team building, integrating exercise, because they actually have to talk to other people in the class. Okay, and then after they've done it, they can sit together as a group, compare. Sorry, I forgot about the most important part. Yes, the person who finishes first shouts out bingo, and of course is the winner. Yes, and then the game finishes. So then they sit together in the groups and compare with each other, yes, or if they have everything. And Carlos, you can do it with really, I don't know, A2, B1, B2, C1 levels, yes? So you just vary what you fill in the task, yes? So it can be anything, yeah? So narrative tenses, it can be inversion, whatever goes, okay? So we also, when we start a topic, yes, we want to, as Anya said, build on prior knowledge. So we have to go with what do you know? Yes. So we can ask them. Yes, they have 2-3 minutes to give you the vocabulary they remember or the grammar they remember. Here, let's focus on vocabulary. Then you can categorize it, okay? And or you can even add to the table something that you haven't mentioned before, yes? And of course, you can go with mind maps. And Anya has talked about mind maps, and she showed you a very nice application that you can use. But this is a good old mind map, okay? But with a twist. So this is one done by my B2 students. And as you can see, we have 3 different people working on that map. So we start and we said, okay, so the category is food. We please give me 3 adjectives, verbs, idioms, nouns, and connected. Yes, food. And then they write 3 or 4 items, and they need to pass it to another person. Another person will add 2 or 3 items and then needs to pass it to another person. Okay, so it's a great exercise because the second person and then the third person needs to go through that mind map. So needs to read the vocabulary items and check, okay, oh, I don't know this one. Yes, maybe I need to make some notes and then think, okay, what hasn't been added yet? Okay, so it's a great, really great exercise. And then the students, of course, can exchange and compare their mind maps. They can write a story with, I don't know, 10 words from that mind map. We can ask them to write a number of sentences, right, with the mind map, and or make a dialogue in which they need to use 1 noun, 1 idiom, 1 verb, and 1 adjective from the mind map. Yes. So with teenagers, it's very useful to set the scene. Okay. So you say, it's Valentine's Day. You are on a date in a restaurant with a person that you have just met. Write a dialogue using, okay? It's much easier when they have those frames, okay? It's much easier to come up with a nice dialogue. Okay, so of course we store those mind maps and we can use them later. So for spaced repetition that Anya has already mentioned. So after 2 or 3 months, we can say, oh, remember those, and show them to your students, and they can go through them and see if they remember all the vocabulary, or maybe they've learned something new and they would like to add. So with a mind map, we can, of course, ask our students also to take it to Quizlet, yes, and then our students can play Quizlet live. And it's also great for spaced repetition because you can come back to the set 2 or 3 months later. I don't know if you know this one. It's called Bamboozle, and my teenage students love it. It's really fun, and yeah, okay, I can see Yes, I can see that your students like it too. So I also ask my students to prepare exercises. Yeah, so here you will see my B2 students who prepared. We had phrasal verbs with about relationships, I think, and they needed to make sentences. And it's also great because you can see the answers, yes, right away. So our students know that. Uh, Good old Kahoot. I know that some people don't like Kahoot, but I don't. But if you haven't used it for some time, you will be surprised to see that they have added some other ways to play, and students can play together. And there is something called Robot Run or Submarine Squad, and or they can play individually, collecting some treasure. Uh, this is also very nice, and because with classic Kahoot, sometimes my teenage students would click anything. I don't know if you've had the same experience, but they were like, okay, let's go further. But now when they have to cooperate, yes, when they have to cooperate or they have to collect something, then they focus on getting the answer right and correct. Okay. And another one, I don't know if you're familiar with this one. It's called Blooket. And here you have also games, and also you can upload your Quizlet sets. So it's really effortless for teachers, okay? And students also like it, and they also need to give correct responses. Yeah, so they need to, they can't click whatever. Yeah, so I think it's a very good application when it comes to studying vocabulary, but grammar as well. Grammar as well. Yeah. Okay. So, time for installations. Okay. So, when I think about installations, I don't know if you've ever built a house or redecorated a flat, but this is something that is quite expensive. And it's extremely, extremely important to have everything done well. But yes, but unfortunately, you cannot see it, right? So I look at my wall and I know that there are some wires, and thanks to that, I have lights. I know that there are some pipes with WhatsApp, but I don't see it. And I think about adding and about the spiral curriculum like that. Okay, so today we're going to learn study past tenses. Again, we've already done it. Okay, and so it's nothing new, nothing spectacular, nothing that you can go home and say, oh, I've learned a new thing. Yes, but actually this is what it's very, very important. Okay, so we start with something like very simple, like past simple. Then we add, and then we add even more. Yes, so that's why it's very important that our installations work. Okay, so I have an exercise that I can adapt, and we can adapt to different levels. It's called sentence auction. I don't know if you know this one. Our students have a number of sentences, and here in the picture you can see that I've used already made one. And of course, some money. Yes, so here, and of course, the students love that bit. Okay, so students need to bid on correct or incorrect sentences. And at A2 level, it's that's it. Okay, so then they bid, for example, I think it's a correct sentence, $200. Okay, and then if they are right, they of course double the money. Yes, so you have the rewards and you have the money. With B1 students, we can make it a bit more complex. So, for example, okay, so choose the correct ones and explain why the sentences, the other sentences are wrong. Yeah, so what are the mistakes, the errors in the sentences? And B2 students can create their own sentences for their peers, for their classmates, which is also really fun, yes, because then they will have to focus on, okay, which one is really, really correct, and okay, I'll make it incorrect. So now let's move on to vocabulary. Okay, so as Anya mentioned in her speech, that we have with young learners and beginners, we focus on words, guessing words. Then we take it one level higher. We add some contextual use. So we have ingredients, recipe, sour, bitter, and so on. And with B2 students, so with our more advanced teams, we add collocations and idiomatic expressions. So how do we then revise them? How do we take them that level higher? I don't know if you remember the good old taboo. Yes. So taboo, it's about that you need to give a definition. Yes, we have a word that our students, the classmates, need to guess. And we have 3 words that you must not use. Yes, so 3 taboo words. Okay, so this one is quite simple. Yes, we can use it with A2 students, teenagers. I promise you, they're really engaged. They really like playing it. When we can go, of course, level higher. So here, this is the one that I would do with B1, B1 plus maybe students. Okay, so we have more taboo words. So it's more difficult, I guess, to do. But we can also reverse the taboo. Okay, so again, I have a task for you. So we have the word dog. Okay, and you need to give a definition of a word dogs, but you must use the words slippers, pills, and stare. Okay, so if you could type in the chat box, how would you define the word dog using the words slippers, pills, and stare? Okay, pet. Dogs love biting my slippers and stare at me when I eat. Oh, it sleeps on your slippers. They will eat. Yes. Yes. Okay. What about tails? They like biting. Okay. Doesn't like the pills. Yes. Yes. So it's impossible to give. Yes. Yeah. Super. But also, we can ask our students to come up with their own taboo words. Okay. So we ask them, we have the word disappear, and we ask our students to think about words which would make it impossible for their classmates to define the word. Yes? So, I don't know, we could go with the word like, I don't know, vanish, maybe. Any ideas? What can make it difficult? Oh, yes, hide, see, definitely. Yeah, thank you, Alice. Disappear, yes. So it's the word, yes, that we need to define. And also, we can ask our students at the end of the unit to write the words and the taboo words or the phrases that they would like to remember. Okay, and then we can play with those cards. And I promise you, that the students will be extremely engaged because this is something they have done, they have prepared. They can't wait for their classmates to draw a card that was prepared by them. And sometimes it's really, really funny if they are unlucky and they draw their own card and they're like, oh my goodness, why would I make it so difficult to give a definition? So they're really engaged, and I think it's an amazing exercise to do with your students. So let's go and decorate our house. When I think about decorating it, some people would think, oh, maybe it's like using some sophisticated language, but it's more about having our own tastes. Yeah, so you can look at both pictures and you can say the picture on the right is amazing. Who would live in the room on the left? Yes, or you can say that both of them are terrible or amazing. Yes, because everybody thinks and everybody has their own tastes. So I think it's really, really important to make learning concrete and personal. So, and this is what we want, yeah? So our students like when it's not abstract, yeah? So it's when it's not about some Jim or some Rosalia or somebody, but it's more about them. So how can we make it personal? You will see that we can personalize grammar. Okay, so at A2 level, you will have to make sentences with some prompts. So you can see it's not really difficult, it's not really complex, but our students need to use given phrases, well, 3 times, yeah? So they need to make questions. They need to ask questions, and then they need to answer the questions. Yes, so the grammatical item will be there 3 times, plus it will be really pleasant because they will be talking about themselves. Yes, so it's something they really like doing. And of course, you can do it with vocabulary as well. So after, we can talk about techniques that people use to remember and learn. And also we can use some more, like we have guided tour. Yes, have you ever been on a guided tour? So you use that new vocabulary item that they've just learned in a conversation. Yes. And so now, again, I have a task for you. This is something that is really an easy and fun task to do with your students. Very engaging. Everybody is engaged. Very workload efficient because you'd only need a dice and some suggestions. And then also very time efficient because you decide how much time you want to spend doing that. So we have our dice. Let's roll it. Okay, it's 5. So I'm a teacher, or oh, this is a new one. I haven't done that yet. I'm a teacher or creator, nice. An influencer, amazing. A performer, okay. A dancer, super. Educator, actor, photographer, coach, facilitator, amazing. A clown, sometimes, yeah. A housewife, yes, amazing. A mom, So we can also do it with a bit more advanced students. So now, think about this one. Yes, I love being a teacher or I love going somewhere, and then you need to ask a question. Yes, so we had a 5. So we have how many? Yes, so how many years have you been teaching? Okay, so we need to do it. Well, so we can do it with a bit more advanced students, maybe B1. But I promise you, it's a great exercise. And let's take it one level higher. We have some sentences that we would like our students to discuss. And if they roll an odd number, they have to agree. And even number disagree. Okay, so even if they don't agree or agree with the statement, they need to come up with some arguments. Okay, so it's a very good exercise. Yeah, so again, you can ask them to use grammar bit, right, or grammar item or vocabulary item that we practiced in the arguments. And yes, it works amazing. Okay. So I don't know if you have ever built a house or redecorated a flat, and if you will agree with this statement that building a house, teaching teenagers is very simple. Absolutely not. Yes, I agree. Yes, I agree with you. So we need to remember that when you enter that classroom, you see real people. Yes. So they are not robots. They are people who also have problems, who might have had an argument with their best friend, whose parents might have, I don't know, given them some kind of punishment. And it's very, very important that we also remember about their well-being. Okay. So sometimes when I begin my class with my 12-year-old students, we just sit down for a minute and we breathe. Okay. We just relax, because I can see that it will be impossible, okay, to work, to do anything if they are so angry, anxious, maybe not angry, but excited after the break. You know what I mean. Also, very often teenagers, unfortunately, don't listen to each other. Okay, so we have a conversation, you ask them to work in pairs, and they answer the question and then they just ignore, yes, the other person. So I think it's very important to also talk about that. Okay, that it's very important to listen. Okay, that everybody wants to be heard. Yes. Yes, thank you. Yeah, I think it's very important to remember about well-being. Okay, guys, so can you please help me and tell me what we talked about when it comes to building our house? So first we need, yes, foundations, well done. And then, okay, yes, walls, roof, yes, floors, amazing. And then installations, of course, and we need to decorate. And last not least, we need to remember about well-being and that we shouldn't lose ourselves in the process. Yes. So, and when we have finished, hopefully we will build a beautiful house as the one that you can see in the picture. Thank you very much. You've been an amazing audience. Thank you very much for all the comments. Thank you.
Thank you, Gosha.
Thank
It was
you.
amazing.
Thank
Lots
you,
of
Elaine.
brilliant ideas. We have a couple of questions here that I would like to ask you. The first one is, how can teachers create a classroom environment where making mistakes in grammar is seen as a valuable learning opportunity rather than a source of embarrassment for teenagers? What are the best practices?
I think it's good when you tell a story from your own life that you have made mistakes and that there's nothing to be embarrassed about. And thanks to that mistake, you have learned something and you will remember that. Yes, I have a lot of embarrassing stories, you know, about mistakes that I made. And I think my students really like it, and they are not scared. And whenever someone says something that, oh my goodness, or she has made a mistake, and I said, oh, thank you for that mistake. Thanks to that, we can learn. We can all learn something.
Yeah, I totally agree. I also have so many embarrassing stories. People are asking if you could you add on the chat the name of the app for the mind maps and also suggestions for websites to review grammar for teenagers, verb
You
tenses in
will see.
particular.
Yeah, you will see that the applications that, and of course the my presentations will be available,
Yeah,
okay, for you guys. So you'll be able to go through the slides again to see the names of the applications, and so both Kahoot and Lookat, but even Quizlet can be used when we revise grammar. So I would definitely recommend them.
great. Gosha, thank you so much for your
Thank you
time.
very much. Thank
It
you
was
very much.
amazing.
Thank you very much. Have a great afternoon. Thank you very much again, guys.
Thank you. Bye-bye. Okay, back here with me. Don't leave me alone. So, Gosha and Anna were talking about some materials, and a couple of people were asking on the chat about these materials. So they are part of a 10-level program that takes students from primary through the end of secondary with 2 courses which complement each other. So the first one is Academy Stars. This is the second edition. And we also have a new edition for Optimized Stars. And each of one they have main features that combine each other. The fact that these 2 courses fit together so perfectly means that the transition from primary to secondary is seamlessly for students, and teachers alike. Some of the features that the program offers are Cambridge exam practice, an inductive approach to grammar, a new Learn to Learn feature, and a new ESDC, which means Education for Sustainable Development and Citizenship, question in each unit. So let's look at some specific features. Oops. So the first feature that you have there is exam practice, which is fundamental to both courses. And here are 2 examples, one for Academy Stars and one for Optimized Stars. The second one is about ESDCs. So we have a question, for example, how can you make new friends feel welcome? Or for teens, how does tourism affect communities and the environment? So this is common on both courses. And also the session called learning to learn. This is also important in both courses, and students are taught from an early age about the benefits of take responsibility for one's own learning. And finally, grammar, which is very important for backbone of both these courses, and they are both share an inductive approach to grammar. So if you are interested in getting to know more these materials, my friend Evelina is sharing with you a link so you can explore more Academy Stars. Please pay attention because there is a link for Academy Stars and there is another link for Optimize Stars. So these are both different links. And if you want a sales rep to get in contact with you, you can also click on the link that Evelina is sharing with you. Also, there are two different links, one for Academy Stars and one for Optimize Stars. Okay, so you can click and enjoy it. I told you that we would have a surprise in the virtual goodie bag. So what are you going to receive in your email within a week? So there will be a grammar challenge, an exam calm how-to poster, the one that Gasha shared with you in her slide. You will also receive the session recording, the presentation slides, and more related training content. Okay? So please be patient with us. You will receive that within a week. And now, before we finish, I have a challenge for you, and I count on you for this challenge. But before we go, don't forget that this is not the last day of our festival. We still have week 2, where we still have lots of things for you to check. So next week on Monday, we're going to talk about characters, where you have people talking about how to use characters in the classroom, how to motivate students through games. On the second day of the week, on Tuesday, we're going to have colors, how to engage students using whiteboard activities, how to relate colors and learning. And then on Wednesday, we're going to talk about I generation. So how do we engage this I generation? How do we understand this I generation? And then on Thursday, we're going to talk about the digital realm. So what is the path through it? What is beyond this? And finally, on the last day, I saw on the chat that lots of you were talking about neurodiversity, and we will talk about neurodiversity, okay? So if you haven't registered yet, please do it. And now is the challenge. Evelina is going to share a link with you, and I'm going to give you 1 minute. I'm sure you can do that in less than a minute. I want you to answer those 6 questions, okay? They are going to help us provide you with top quality opportunities. So please, please, please answer. You have a minute, and it starts right now. Please answer the survey. That's very important for us. Yeah, don't forget to answer the survey before you leave. 1 minute, I'm counting here on my cell phone. Please, please, please. Don't leave before you answer the survey, please. It's also on the chat. It's on the chat. Some people are asking, it's on the chat. And it's also on the resources. Yeah, Evelina shared once again on the chat. Okay, 1 minute. The link is on the chat. For people who are asking, the link is on the chat. Please, that's very important for us. So we can keep providing you with quality opportunities. Great, some people could answer in less than a minute. Thank you so much for answering. That's very kind of you. And before we go, I would like to ask you to leave on the chat one takeaway from today. Can be an adjective, a word, something that describes the day for you today. Can you leave one takeaway? Activities for kids, well-being, inspiration, enriching, spiritual teaching, remember scaffolding, renovation. A house needs a strong foundation. Wow, so many things. Great. Wow. Engaging, renovation, revision, captivating, brain dump. Nice. Wow, thank you so much. Building knowledge, revision, personalization, Kahoot, creativity. Great. Guys, thank you so much for your time. Have a wonderful weekend. Have a wonderful evening, morning, afternoon. Thank you so much for your time and see you next week. Bye-bye.